Okay, so we're going to continue on now, and as you can see from the screen, I've reloaded the one I did first of all with the menu bar going across horizontally, and I'll be using this from this point forwards. And I certainly would suggest that you might also do that so that the book makes a little bit more sense to you. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here now is I'm actually going to put we're going to put two, what is referred to as call to action. In other words, to get whoever's visiting your site to do something. So the call to action I'm going to include here is get them to go to our Facebook page or our Twitter contact area. So that's going to be our call to action. So I'm going to put these into the menu bar underneath the current buttons that are here already. So I'm going to place my cursor back in here, and again make sure I'm actually in the corrective. I can always check it out down here, and yes, I'm in the menu bar. So I want two here, I want two cells, and I'm going to use a table again for the same reason, because I do firmly believe they actually help us to maintain control and flexibility more than just putting in an image in. Okay, so I'm going to go to table, and I just simply want 1 by 2, because again I'm going to do one for Facebook and one for Twitter. So I'm going to do 2, and again that's brilliant. There is an extra space here and a space here, but I'll deal with that after I'm finished if I need to get rid of it. Okay, so the first thing I want to do with it, I'm going to go to my browser, which I've already done actually as it happens. And what I've done in preparation for this particular small aspect of the page for the call to action, I've opened up the main page for Facebook, and I've opened up the main page for Twitter. Obviously, if it's your own site, etc., your own business, it would be your actual Facebook page or your actual LinkedIn or your actual Twitter, etc. But for now I'm doing this. Now the reason I open them up is that I copy the URL directly, and that means that when I link the image to here, I have less chance of making an error with the typing of it. So what I'm going to do is just very quickly click up here, right click, and I'm just going to copy that URL for the first one, and I'm going to go straight back to KompoZer. Okay, so I'm going to go to the image now, and the image I want is the Facebook image, and I'm going to click on open. And the alternative text, yes, I will use this, and basically in here I'm just going to put in the join us on Facebook. So that'll be my alternative text. The dimensions is quite large, so if I went ahead to let this in, it would be quite large, and I'd actually have to start pulling down the size. So I'm going to customize it straight away, and I've decided to make them 50 by 50. So I'm going to put 50 in here, and again it will automatically change to the, because it is constrained. The appearance, what am I going to do with the appearance of it? I'm actually going to keep it in the center again. Okay, and the link is a URL link, and again it's what I just copied, remember, so I'm going to Control and V just to paste that in there. So I'm going to say OK to this, and it'll log itself in right there, as you can see. And one thing I'm going to do with this actual table is I'm going to justify it off to the right. So I'm just going to go back to table in here, and just the whole table, and what I want to make sure is table alignment. I want to keep it to the right, so anything I do will actually go to the right when I've finished it. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to put my Twitter one in as well. Then I'll deal with this to make sure they're way over here. So I'm going to go back first of all and pick up my Twitter URL. So clicking on this and just copying it, and I'm going to go straight back to KompoZer, and again making sure I'm in the correct area. I'm going to go to image, clicking in here, and I'm looking for my Twitter now at this stage, and again open, and again join us or tweet with us on Twitter, or whatever you wish to put in. Again, the dimensions, I'm going to customize it again to 50 so that both images look the same. Appearance, again I'm going to keep this in the center, and the link is the URL that I just copied, so I'll paste that in there, and I will just simply now say OK, and as you can see it's actually now inserted. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move it so that it is actually over to the side. So I'm just going to take this here, I'll pull that way over so it's quite small and the two of them sit nice and neatly over here. Okay, I'm going to save this now, and as per normal I'm going to go out and I'm going to make sure that it's sitting nice and evenly before I continue on. So I'm just going to F5 that so it'll go out to the browser and I can see what it looks like. So there it is. I think the space here could be dealt with, and maybe here as well. So again I need to go back into KompoZer for this, and again this is where your information or your knowledge now about HTML is starting to pay off, because what we really need to do is try to get rid of the space that is directly above it and directly underneath it, and to do that visually on screen would be exceptionally difficult. So I'm going to go to the source, or I might just split it actually, and again we can actually see what's going on here, but that's not really enough. I need to see more text before it and after it. Okay, so I need to see more, so I'm going to go to full source, and here I'm just looking for, in here as you can see, join us on Facebook, etc. And this is where the table is starting here, this is the table here, and the table is ending there. Okay, so I actually can see the main area here and the other information up here. So I can see I've got a break here and a break here, which again is a soft line if you remember, and it's these two I need to get rid of so that it'll actually pull it together a bit neater and tidier. And this is why it's so important to have done that little bit of HTML. So I'm going to click right here and just simply very gently get rid of that one, and up here doing the same thing, very gently getting rid of that one. I'm going to go back now to the design side, and as you can see that is much neater. Alright, again let's save it and let's go back to our browser, F5 to update it. We're just looking over here, and yes, that's much better straight away. So that's actually simply inserting some simple call to action and tidying it up a little bit. Okay, so I'm also going to include on this video about how we could add a background color to the body or add an image background to the body. And when I'm talking about body, I'm talking about all the way around here, because remember in the container area, which is here, we told it that we wanted the back of it to be white. So we want to see, will we, won't we, maybe we will, maybe we won't, but right now it looks a bit too white for me. So again we need to go back into KompoZer and decide what we would like to do. So the first thing is I'm going to add maybe a background color, and to do that I just simply go to Format, and in here I go to Page Colors and Background, and in here it's very simple. You've got Use Custom Colors, so you can click on this, and basically here's the background, so we can click on this one and it will bring us out. So if I actually go pick a color that's going to be absolutely awful, let's say this red, and say OK, and say OK, you can see what I mean by background now, how distinct this is, and again why it's gone over here and why it's not gone through into the container, because we told the container to be white. Okay, so therefore it's actually got its own color, but obviously this is not what we like, it's not what I like at all. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to Format, back to Page Title, Page Colors and Backgrounds, and we're not going to put a background color like this in at all, we're going to put a background image in instead. And again I have the image ready for us, so I'm going to click on this, and again this is the image that I'm going to put in, a BA, and it's going to simply multiply itself throughout, and I'm going to say OK to this, and as you can see that is getting a little bit better and getting a bit closer to home. So I'm going to quickly save that, Control and S just to quickly save that, and again I'm going back out to see what it looks like before I progress any further, and that's good. But the problem I have now is that the outer edge of here is not definite enough, and I want to be much more definite about where this actual page is. So I'm going to go back into KompoZer once more, and I'm going to go back to my CSS, and in my CSS I'm going to go to my container, and I'm going to go to borders, and again I'm going to put it all the way around the outside. and what I want, the style I want, I'm just going to go for a solid line. And the colour I'm going to go for, I'm going to stick with the dark blues because I think it's better to try to stay in the same family, and say OK. And I'm going to change it maybe to 5 pixels to begin with, and we'll just see what this looks like, and we'll say OK to this, and you can see that this is coming up now, and I think that's quite heavy enough. I might go 1 or 2 more, so I'll just go back into my CSS, back into the container, back into the border, and for some reason that's gone out of there, but I'll put it back in again, 5 pixels. I'm just going to increase that maybe, now that is certainly enough, to 6, and say OK, and save this again, and let's go back out to see what it actually looks like. That's what it looks like, and if we just go have now a look at it out online, just F5 this, and there we go. As I said, it just seems to have a little bit more of a definite outline, and I think it helps the overall look at it. And again, please experiment and see what you can do when it comes around to your time putting it together. Okay, so that's the end of this video. See you again shortly.